This is where it all started, with a character we all think we know, Robinson Crusoe.
The British novel found its first hero here, washed up on a beach after a shipwreck. For more than 25 years, he defeated everything life could throw at him. Wild animals, storms, marauding cannibals, and most painfully of all, his own agonizing solitude.
Daniel Defoe's novel was published in 1719. The story of a young adventurer shipwrecked on his way to buy slaves in Africa. In the past, in Homer, the Bible, or Shakespeare, the hero was noble and remote. But Crusoe isn't like that. He's more like you and me.
Crusoe's a Yorkshireman, and it shows. He has a highly individual, rather bolshy turn of mind. He's practical and resourceful. He gets things done. But for all his bravery, he's still a human being. He could still be one of us.
Crusoe's an ordinary man caught up in extraordinary circumstances. All the time, a part of us is wondering how we might cope in his place. But the true excitement of this story is finding out how this one man in particular will manage. I was wet, had no clothes, nor anything to eat or drink to comfort me. Neither did I see any prospect before me but being devoured by wild beasts. And this threw me into terrible agonies of mind. So, as well as struggling with the physical dangers, Crusoe also has to wrestle with his inner psychological turmoil.
His greatest challenge comes from within. He survives without the sound of a human voice or the touch of a human hand. And for me, this is the most terrifying aspect of his whole ordeal.
To me, that's the very crux of the book. He doesn't know whether he is the most unfortunate soul on the planet to be shipwrecked there, or whether he is the luckiest man in the world, lord and master of his own destiny, ruler of his own kingdom. And I think that's one of the really enduring, appealing aspects of the book. What's at stake, really, for Robinson Crusoe is surviving, and surviving with his mind intact. And, that's the battle that he has to win. So I think he's heroic in the sense that he conquers himself.
For a while, I ran about like a madman. I was a prisoner, locked up with the eternal bars and bolts of the ocean in an uninhabited wilderness. But then, I began to look upon the bright side of my condition and less upon the dark side.
He blesses the providence that has smiled on him since he came ashore. At one point, he comes close to actually thanking God for having shipwrecked him. But he never quite loses the sense that he is the master of his own destiny.
Even today, this unexpected resilience comes as a surprise to those forced to endure solitude.
Somehow, somewhere, and from within us, in the worst of all possible conditions, the best of what we are emerges and helps us to overcome, gives us the tools, the building blocks, or the mental resilience, or the emotional fortitude to get through the next day, and the next day, and the next day. And when that happens, it sort of builds up and builds up and builds up inside you until maybe you have something called courage, maybe you have something, I don't know what it is, but there's something innate in us. And so maybe you have to have it all stripped away to get into whatever's left. And whatever's left is something pure essence. And you drink very deeply of that pure essence. And okay, sometimes it makes you drunk and delirious and hallucinating about who you are. But it also gives you back to yourself. And maybe a better person than when you arrived on that desolate foreshore.
Ultimately, Crusoe must survive on his own inner strength. His island lacks the religious certainties of Milton's Paradise Lost and Bunyan's Pilgrim's Progress, written only 50 years earlier.
The story of Crusoe's lonely life can be read as an allegory for all sorts of things. To me, the most interesting is as a metaphor for evolution. The ability of an individual to survive and flourish outside the group was a crucial moment in human evolution. And Crusoe not only overcomes his agonizing loneliness, he carries with him everything he's learned and imposes those values on his remote island.
Crusoe is a child of his time, of the Enlightenment. Defoe reflected the new importance society attached to individual lives. And Crusoe determines his own fate. But what happens when our everyday hero is taken out of the pure laboratory conditions of solitude and put down in a real world full of people?